Good evening, Region 10. I am David, and tonight we are doing something we have never done before. We are handing the microphone over to you.
And I am Serjan, and welcome to episode 14. It is called Ask the Experts. Before we jump into your questions, let's take a quick moment because tonight is a special one in the history of human exploration. And not just one story, but two.
65 years ago, 27-year-old Soviet cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin left Earth for one orbit of 108 minutes, and the world was never the same.
Yeah, and then this week, humanity went further again.
That's right. On April 1st, NASA launched Artemis 2, the first crewed mission to fly around the moon in 50 years. 4 astronauts flew further from the Earth than any other crew since Apollo 13. That's 252,000 miles. I have no idea about kilometers, but that's a long way. They flew around the far side of the moon and have now returned safely.
And both missions had one thing in common: they trusted the experts. They put the right people in the room, asked the right question, and had the courage to go. And tonight, Region 10, that's exactly what we are doing. Now, it's your turn. We want to see you on the chat board right now and type your district number and your city in the chat. We are 8 strings strong, and who's the loudest tonight? Let's see. And let's check the comment.
Few lives there. Hello from Elizabeth Jordan, District 71. Always good to see you. Thank you for sharing. Omer, wonderful moment from Turkey, Adana. I don't know if you know that
District
person.
109 is Turkey.
Okay.
Hello, Ömer.
Wonderful. Yes. So, of course, and as you are watching live across the region, we want you to tell us in the chat, what is your biggest question about public speakings, meetings, or personal growth? Drop it now, because tonight your questions are the show. And we see here Lillian Shaftakola, and thanks
Hello,
for joining us as well. So what is your biggest question about public speaking, meetings, or personal growth? That's what we're into to understand tonight.
Yeah, we will ask the experts those questions. And here's what we have in store tonight. First, I will be stick down with a 2-time world championship finalist, Fursey Gotuaco, with the questions you submitted from across the region.
Then I'll be taking you through Parliamentary Procedures with Larry Lyons, DTM, the man who makes Robert's Rules of Order genuinely interesting. And yes, that is possible.
And we have an exclusive recorded interview with Ellen Ang, 2025 World Championship second runner-up and the $1 Million Roundtable top 1% professional as tonight's leadership pill.
And plus, Reggie is back, Reggie the Panda, and tonight his game has a brand new twist, so more on that very soon. Let's go.
And beyond any ordinary introduction. He is a 2-time World Championship of Public Speaking finalist with over 30 years in theater and education. His style is warm and genial, more like a real conversation than training. Whether he's teaching you how to put a picture with pandas or helping you find your voice, his energy moves people beyond their fears. And let me introduce Fursey Gotuaco.
Hey, Sir John.
Hello, Fursey. Always very happy to host you. I'm so glad to ask questions tonight. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. And tonight, questions didn't come from me. They come from all around from Region 10 Live News and Region 10 members, because I'm about to fire them at you. They are ready to ask you these questions. And my first question, you are going to see the questions below, by the way, and I will read it. But my first 2 questions is about the competition. That's why I will read both of them right now, and you can answer 2 questions in a row. Is it okay?
Great.
I'm continue with the questions. Mikael Esilius from District 95 asks, What is your experience with contesting, and how many times have you competed throughout your journey? And my second question about competition is from Hannah Brella. What is the greatest lesson you learned by reaching the final of World Championship of Public Speaking? And stage is yours, Fursey.
Wow. Thank you, Hannah. And thank you, Michael. I tell you what I learned from the process of being in the contest, that practicing is indeed important. It's what we have to do. I know that we wish we could flip a switch and be a championship speaker. But all those folks that you see up on that stage, and all the folks who are trying, they win district, they're trying to move on to that next level past regionals, they are practicing, they are rehearsing, they are trying new things. And that's what we can all do. We can all keep practicing every day. Every day we can try one little thing that helps us move forward. So let's keep doing that. Let's do it together. Let's do it as a community. All right. And that's what I've learned from the competition. We've got a great community that supports us in moving forward.
Yeah, it's encouraging actually tips, because it's the competition season right now and everybody's really excited about your answers. Thank you for it. Then my third question is coming from Jeff Lines from Erlangen Toastmasters. How did you progress from being an individual speaker to being a coach for other speakers?
Wow. Now that's a heck of a question. I got to tell you, Jeff, it's actually the other way around for me. I was a teacher for almost 30 years, over 30 years. So I was coaching people, mostly students, but I've been coaching people in theater and in speech for a very long time. It was only in the last few years that I actually got into the contest. That's what I think what Michael was asking me. I've actually only joined the International Speech Contest 4 times. One and all four and 3 of the times I got past regionals, and 1 time I was second place at district. So that's what happens, is that you actually have one career and then you move into another career. And that's okay. As for speaking to coaching, hey, listen, there's a lot of people out there that need your help, Jeff. There's a lot of folks out there that need your help. They're on your left and on your right. They're in clubs, they're in other clubs, and everyone needs a little help. Jeff, I need your help. So anytime you can give me feedback, you can give others feedback, you're coaching. You develop that pattern of giving evaluation. You develop that pattern of giving feedback. And Jeff, right there, right then, to that individual, you're a coach.
Yeah. And Jeff, I heard that Fursey wants to have a coaching session from your side. That's what he mentioned. Yeah, it's great. Thank you very much. And from Karlsruhe Toastmasters, Alexander Lang asked this question. How has your profession as a Gallup strength coach influenced your specific approach to giving speeches?
Wow. Now there's somebody who's done their research. Well done. As a Gallup strengths coach, I believe in building on people's strengths. That doesn't mean we ignore the weakness, but it means that if we really want to achieve greatness, we want to focus on what you do well. So when we're giving feedback, we're not just telling people, oh, these are the things you're not doing so well. Focus on that and you'll be good. No. We make sure those are okay. But if you really want to go from good to great, then you build on what you do well. That means as coaches, that means as people giving evaluations, we've got to be extra aware. What is this person doing very well from within themselves, from within who they are? And sometimes that means I need to look at somebody and say, you want to know what's really terrific about how you speak? You're going to be a great keynoter. Or I love the sound of your voice. It's so relational. You're going to be a great coach. You listen to folks like Sir John and David, and you just know they were meant to be announcers like this. They've got a beautiful, rich voice. You've got to tell them this is what you build on.
Thank you for your nice words. But I really like this tip because this tip is not for public speaking, but also valid for every aspect of our life, actually. When you focus our strength, then we will be most probably great about this.
Absolutely. You know what? If I can just say this, Sir John, if you're one of those great writers in the world, do we just focus on them getting better at grammar? No, that's not going to make them a great writer. So let's keep focusing on each other's greatness.
Oh, thank you. Let's focus then. And my fifth question, coming from Israel, Yafit Gabai. What do you do in the moment when you feel you are losing the audience?
Sometimes, it's a very good question. What we're talking about here is losing traction. We're losing a little bit of traction. And sometimes we get into these habits where we say things like, fellow Toastmasters, right? Or ladies and gentlemen, we're trying to refocus our audience. Instead, you could pause. Yeah, that was not your internet. That was Fursey pausing. And all of a sudden, that pause gets people to sort of refocus a little bit. You can even intensify. So out of the pause, you can intensify what you have. You can double down. You can change your gestures. You could even use proximity and move a little closer to your audience. Yes, don't be afraid of them. They're not going to bite. Go ahead. Use proximity. Change your gestures. Change your hand gesture to go in a slightly different direction. And that recalibrates their eyes. It recalibrates their head. Make sure that they are with you. Maybe you have to go back and re-explain something to them, right? You may have lost them along the way. Go back, make sure they're with you, and do what I call, as a teacher, what we used to call spiraling. Not spiraling downward, but spiraling, working our way up. We're working our way up and forward. You take what you've already told them and you move it forward. Take what you already told them and move it forward. So you're always spiraling up and forward. I hope that makes sense to you.
Yeah, you gave two tips, but I loved really the pause part because really like the word that silence is golden. And then because we are trying to talk, of course, it's a speech. But when you pause, then people really listen to you. I like the idea. Thank you very much for it. Again, to remind me. Yes, now the sixth question from Irene Agreni from UPS Toastmasters. If a blackout or going blank happens on stage, despite perfect preparation and breathing, what other techniques can a speaker use in that exact moment to recover the speech?
Oh, Irene, terrific question. And listen, you said something that we all kind of feel, but we never want to admit. We lose our lines. It happens. It happens all the time. So here's what you got to think about. Don't memorize your script word for word for word for word for word. Because what happens when you lose a word? I don't know what the next one is. Instead, understand where you begin and where you want to go. All right? Understand where you're beginning and where you want to go. And if at some point along the way you lose your path, at least you know where you want to go. You have an outline. Yes? You have an outline of how you're going to get there. So think about going from home to work. When you go from home to work, you have a particular pathway. If you only look at the ground as you go and you only follow that path every single day, well, one day there's road construction and you can't go through. What are you going to do? So what you have to remember is, where do I want to end up? And what are the different ways to go there? Be ready for plan B. Be ready for plan C. So if the audience takes my thoughts and goes in a completely different way with a question, I'm ready, because I know where I began and I know where I want to go. And no matter what detour you throw at me, I can adjust. And you want to know the best way to prepare for this? Have a really good friend interrupt you while you're practicing your speech. See how you do. I bet you're going to be great.
Wow.
Thanks, Irene.
I like it. Every question, when you are saying something, it reminds me a story about myself as well. I was, maybe you don't know, even in 2024, I was in the international contest for District 109. I was the second place. And in that speech, no one knows it, by the way. I think in the first 2 minutes, I had a blackout. I couldn't remember anything. And you mentioned just like a road. I mean, it is closed and you need to find a way. It's a good metaphor, because what I have done, because I was just forget everything. I mean, and then I started to walk. That walk, I mean, moving helped me to overcome, and then everything came again, because it was my speech. I prepared it and everything. I know, of course, but sometimes it's happening. But moving, that you mentioned that part, I think as well, is really helps. Thank you for it, Fursey.
Thank you, Sir John.
And my second question is from Region 10 Live News team. You have a new book and it is released today. And it's such an honor that you're a writer about public speaking and you are releasing your book, and we are going to announce it today. Could you please tell us about your book? And its name is Public Speaking from A to Z.
Absolutely, Sir John. Public Speaking from A to Z, the handbook for powerful presentations. I wanted to create not a book that you necessarily read from beginning to end, but I wanted to have a book that people could read in small bites. Today's world, it's so fast. Sometimes we don't have an hour or 2 hours to read. Now, others out there, I know you're very good readers, but by and large, a lot of the folks out there, they're scrollers, and they want their news, they want their information in little bits, little bites. So why not create something that they can use and pick up at any time in the day, at any point in their week? For the businessman who's too busy to read from A to Z all the way, he can just turn the page and go to letter C or letter F. Or maybe for today's speech, I just need to learn a little bit more about microphones. Or let's say you're a speaker, but this is your first time being a trainer. What does Fursey say about being a trainer?
Yeah.
And there it is. Training tactics. The book isn't just about how to get up on stage and speak. I think we have many books on that. But there are other parts to speaking that we don't normally think about, such as how do we structure our workshop? Have you ever thought about where we should have the breaks and how we can leverage breaks to help our audience digest our information? Or critical thinking. How do we raise the level of critical thinking in our audience? As a teacher, this is what I had to do. I did one other thing in the book, Sir John. I got quotes from people around the globe. There's a lot of AI out there. And I wanted to make sure that this book had that feel of authenticity. So there were some things I did with AI, like creating a structure and some of the definitions. And there are other parts where it's my experience as a coach, as a teacher. But there are also quotes throughout the book from over 90 people around the globe and their experience and insights about speaking.
Okay, I really look forward to see it. I mean, read it. But a small question about this as well, because people are really following you. You are doing these speeches, trainings in YouTube, in all around the world, and you delivered many trainings about public speaking as well. What will readers discover in this book that goes beyond when they have already heard from you? Anything special for this book?
Absolutely. There are all kinds of little nuggets that they can have. Some of the things that I don't have time to do in a training, some things that you can do over a period of time, like diaphragmatic breathing. That takes time, Sir John. It takes time to learn how to really breathe using your apparatus, or really aligning the body, or understanding how to actually move around a space, understanding stage directions. Now you're a veteran, so you know a lot of the things behind the scenes, but a lot of other folks don't understand when you're working with a microphone, there are certain buttons you should know how to use, the mute and the on-off button. you get those mixed up and you're going, hello, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. And then the tech guy comes over and goes, it works, and then you look kind of silly.
Yeah, I can understand that it's full of details and new things in this book. And thank you for writing for us to get more information about from public speaking from A to Z. Fursey, that was really a true masterclass, this interview with you. Any last words from your side?
The book, don't try to read it from A to B. Don't try to read it A to Z. Take what you can and then scan the code and join the community. And anytime you have a question about the book, just bring it up in the community and I can answer. So let's keep the conversation going.
Thank you very much, Fursey, for all this openness. And thank you on behalf of everyone who sent in a question tonight. And you have given us something we can use right away. Thank you for collaboration, team. It was a real pleasure having you with us, Fursey. And have a good night.
Thank you. Good night, Sir John. Thank you.
Bye. Hello, David, again.
Wow, Serjan, what an interview. That's fantastic. Always great to hear from Fursey.
Yeah, always it is. And David, did you hear that? I think there is someone backstage asking if it is their time yet.
I think I know exactly who that is, Serjan. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe Reggie the Panda would like to take the stage. Reggie, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much for the stage. Hello, everyone. So happy to be back. And tonight is game night. As many of you know, I am a very proud part of this Region 10 team. My big job is to bring the fun. But before we get into the game, let me tell you a bit about myself. I am into listening to upbeat music with my headphones. And of course, I love to drink coffee from my favorite blue mug. A hot coffee keeps me sharp and smiling while on the news. Please don't tell the team, but when they are not watching, I snack on my favorite food, bamboo! And now, let's get to today's game. The winner will have a chance to show up here on stage with me. What is the game all about? Well, let me tell you. Earlier today, as I was getting ready for this episode, disaster struck. I lost the buttons from my jacket. My buttons will pop up randomly on the screen throughout the show. Will you help me find my buttons? Count them as they pop up. Be fast to type the total number in the chat. The first to type wins. And with this, I give the stage back to David. Keep your eyes peeled to the screen, have fun, and enjoy tonight's incredible show.
Thank you, Reggie. And now, Region 10, you have heard the story of those legendary buttons. Tonight, you are going to help find them. Here's how the game works. Please pay close attention because we have an important update to rule number 4 tonight. Rule number 1, watch for the start. The game only begins when you see the game is now started alert on screen. Rule number 2, spot and count the buttons. Silently count every golden button. So please don't put anything in the chat. They stay for 5 seconds, so eyes sharp. Rule number 3, wait for game over and do not submit your answer until the final announcements. You don't want to spoil it. Important rule number 4, as we stream on both YouTube and LinkedIn and these platforms run at different speeds, what we've discovered is a YouTube is faster. So from tonight, when Reggie calls game over, type your answer immediately. But our team will not scan the chat right away. We will wait 30 seconds, a full 30 seconds, to give everyone an equal window to get their answers in. After those 30 seconds, our team will find the first correct answer on each platform separately. So tonight we have 2 winners, 2 chances, one from LinkedIn and one from YouTube. So wherever you're watching from tonight, you have a fair and equal shot. Now, let's start the game.
And the game is started. And keep those eyes peeled for Reggie buttons. They can appear anywhere, anytime and only for 5 seconds. And remember, do not type your number until Regis says game over. And now, on to our new experts. David, while our viewers are counting, you have got a very special expert waiting. Let's introduce let's introduce it with a brief video before we call our guest on stage.
You ever been in one of those meetings that's just total chaos? Yeah, you know the ones. They ramble on, one person hogs the mic, and nothing actually gets done. Well, there's a framework for this. It's designed to bring order, fairness, and focus back to the table. It's really an architecture of order, and it's all built on a few core principles of fairness. It's a really important balancing act. The majority rules, yeah, but the minority has to be heard first. And the rules are super simple. One person speaks at a time and one topic at a time. That's it. So what's the point? To make sure every single member has an equal voice. Simple as that. And believe it or not, this isn't some new thing. The guide for it was first published way back in 1876. You've probably heard of it. It's called Robert's Rules of Order. Basically, the author argued that without rules, you don't actually have freedom. You just have chaos. And its influence? It's huge. We're talking more than 6 million copies printed. And it's used everywhere. School boards, nonprofits, even big corporate boards and unions. So that brings us to the big question. Can a 19th century book really fix our modern meetings?
This is true. And since 2007, my next guest has been one of the most respected voices in Toastmasters leadership. He's the District 71 parliamentarian. He blends trade union experience with deep formal expertise to conduct meetings that are efficient, fair, and genuinely engaging. Please welcome Larry Lyons, DTM.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me here this evening.
Thank you, Larry. And we've got sort of a hot 15 minutes now. So I'm going to press the buzzer on my timer. Let's get started with some questions for you. With May being a critical month for districts, why is this specific district council meeting considered the most important one of the program year?
Yes, so all meetings throughout the year are quite important, but May really is the big one because it runs alongside the conference as well. And you have your audit reports from last year's figures. Then you have the alignment report, which is a major issue in many districts. And of course, you have the leadership committee report, and that is the election of the district leadership team for the month, for the next year. So it's a critical meeting, and it can cause a lot of angst and anger and confusion, and it can run on. I have seen meetings going on for 6 hours now.
Oof, that sounds like a marathon.
Absolute marathon. So the skill is to get this May council meeting organized and prepared and ready, and be ready to have a good meeting and make sure people can participate fairly and get home early. Participate and get home early. That's my.
Okay. So speaking of that efficiency, Larry, that starts weeks in advance. So what should a district director be doing before the meeting to ensure that the actual live event works like clockwork so we don't get these 6-hour meetings?
Yeah, well, I've mentioned the alignment report, and normally the alignment report chair is organized way back in January. So so you have a few months there to get organized, and you've got to consult with the people on the ground, with the clubs, the areas, and the divisions, because if you leave it till April, or it's too late really. And by the time the council meeting come around, there should be no surprises for anybody really. So it's very important that you engage with people regarding the alignment report, because that to me takes up a lot of time at meetings. But one thing we do very well here in District 71, and I call it the A team. You have the district director, you have the election runner, you have the credentials chair, and you have the administration manager, and then the parliamentarian. And we have met now since last February, planning for our council meeting in May. So preparation is key.
Absolutely. That's
preparing before any meeting is very, very important. And what can go wrong? We look at the agenda before it goes out. Is the agenda in order? Is the email inviting people to the meeting, is that in order? So we do this thorough scrutinization of everything before we come to the May council meeting. And and then we troubleshoot what might go wrong on the day. Where will the trouble come from? Because there's always someone that's going to come into a meeting and say, I want to disrupt this meeting. You have them out there. And you have your ears on the ground with your divisional directors and your area directors. And of course, you can connect in with clubs. And you should get feedback from them. And they should be able to relay to you, like, look at.
Okay, great.
So preparation is key, pre-preparation.
I love that, Larry.
Getting all the documentation out to the members in time as well, the relevant documentation for the actual meeting. So everyone comes prepared then to the meeting itself.
Okay, wonderful. So let me ask you a third question here. Parliamentary procedure can feel intimidating for many members. So how can a district director use Robert's Rules of Order to facilitate discussions rather than stifle it?
Well, what I would like to see, and I'm trying to get this going in our own district, and I'd like to see it across Region 10, every member should be given the opportunity to come to participate in training, parliamentary procedures training, and get familiar as to what it's all about. But I think at the onset of any meeting, the district director can put everybody at ease by outlining, put people at ease, outlining the procedures for the meeting itself. And these are called standing rules. So normally people get maybe a 1 minute to speak to a motion or whatever. So they're your standing rules. You have to address the chair. And of course, there's a lot of motions there to help the member as well. You have a parliamentary inquiry. So you're a member at a meeting and you're not too sure of what you should do. So just put your hand up, address the chair, parliamentary inquiry. I'd like to move a motion. However, I don't know how to do it.
Right.
Of course, you can request information. That's another motion that you can use. So, and by being fair and honest and give everybody a chance to speak, the presiding officer will keep everyone on board. And you've got to be inclusive. And if there's someone quiet, not speaking, it's up to you as presiding officer to reach out to them and try and get them to give their view. Wonderful. And of course, the magic word is, the majority are here, but the minority get their chance, or the majority are here, but the majority decide, and the minority get an opportunity to speak. So
So wonderful. Another question here: DCMs can sometimes get heated, especially during debates on realignment or contested elections. What is your advice for maintaining decorum when tensions run high?
Yeah, but that's a good one now, because I've seen some meetings getting out of hand. And I think as a presiding officer, you have to remain calm yourself. If you lose the floor, you're a goner, really. So remain calm. And remember, if things get out of hand, you have a motion there that you can use, and that's take a recess. So have the parliamentarian beside you as well is very important. You can consult with them and take a recess if things get very heated. But before that, I would remind people of the standing rules at the beginning. Remember, you can only speak once, if that is the agreed rule that you have. And of course, sometimes you might have to just use this. I don't know, can you see it here on screen? It's a gavel.
Ah, yes, the gavel. Yes.
So just give up a little rap, and also sometimes if someone is a bit very disruptive, ask them to repeat the question.
Making it clear,
please. And sometimes they don't like to hear something that rude they might have said, or and of course, every bit of any debate, you must go through the chair. You cannot actually direct a question to another person at a meeting.
Going through that chair. Wonderful.
Through the chair. The previous speaker, I didn't agree. I wouldn't agree with their side of things, but this is my view. But you don't actually say, "One, you're totally out of order." So a chair is a vital. They're like the conductor of an orchestra, really.
That's a great analogy.
The whole thing running smoothly, but the main thing is to keep calm.
Yes, use some of that emotional intelligence, I guess, there. So let me ask you, what advice would you give on how to handle these disruptive members of the assembly?
What advice would I give to handle them?
Yes. So if somebody, as you said, starts addressing another member, which we said is not okay, you've got to go through the chair, or generally disruptive in terms of, I guess, not allowing people to speak.
Well, I'll bring it back to the rule. The basic rules of parliamentary procedure and Robert's rules is you've got to go through the chair, and it may be a case of a verbal warning. If they're not adhering to the rules of the meeting, you may have to issue them with a verbal warning. And you've got to remember, everybody there is on your side as a presiding officer. They want to get out. They want the meeting to finish in time.
That's it.
And if you're handling the meeting very well and giving everybody else a fair hearing, the disruptive member will be outnumbered.
Yes.
And I suppose online you can mute them.
That's true.
And remind them. And I think the very important too is the core values of Toastmasters. Integrity, respect, especially them two.
Yes.
And I've seen it. There's a minority out there that are very disruptive, and they're not adhering to the core values of Toastmasters. I've seen it down through the years. I've seen a string of emails that came to a certain district director from a member of Toastmasters, and it was a disgrace, really. The core values: you sign up, you take the Toastmaster promise when you join, and yet you have people out there just very disruptive, and so
there you go. And I think for many it's a new experience. I remember my first district council meetings and so forth. So and I was a club president at the time. So for club presidents and VPEs who are watching or watching afterwards, what is one thing that they should do to prepare for their upcoming district council meeting?
Well, firstly, register on time, because I think the credential chair has a big job to do in trying to get the figures together. So register on time, but read up, come prepared to the meeting by reading the documentation that's sent out ahead by the administration manager, and consult with your club. I'm going to a meeting. I'm going to be voting on behalf of our club. It's not you that's voting. You're voting on behalf of your club. So consult with them. These are the things are going to be the items on the agenda, and take it from there. Then come prepared, though. Read the minutes of the previous meeting as well. Of course, that's important. Absolutely. Because they're draft minutes. They're not official until they're actually approved at the meeting itself. So read them up. Be ready to ask questions. And if you're unsure about something, just reach out.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Very good, Larry. And I'm just looking through the chat. So we're on time here, but if anyone watching tonight has a question for Larry, you could put it in the chat. We'll see where we go. But Larry, let me ask you the last question I have here on my list. If you could give one piece of advice to a district director who is nervous about a contentious alignment vote this May, what would that be?
I think I mentioned previously that preparation has to be done well in advance. So the chair of the alignment committee must know their job. And they stand up on the podium to give their presentation. So your presentation, you normally have a PowerPoint presentation. Is it clearly laid out? Is it clearly color coded geographically as to where the changes are going to occur? And I think that's important. You have to have a very clear vision of what you're doing. And if meet with that alignment chair prior to the meeting. And if there's any issues, you got to iron them out before you arrive at the council meeting, because clubs and people don't like moving to another area, sometimes, and you
have to know why.
Their area is precious to them, so they need to know why. So clear PowerPoint presentation. Wonderful. If you're asked a question, you've got to be able to answer it. I've seen many versions of good and bad, and one year in our district I saw a very, very good presentation where it was well laid out on a PowerPoint, the map of the UK and Ireland, and it clearly defined with color coded green for your staying and red maybe for your moving and stuff like that. So simple. It's simple, but you must be clear. You remember, people have different learning styles.
It's
Some
true.
people like to hear something. Some people like to see something visually.
Yes.
So I think that's.
And Larry, one last question then. Speaking of learning styles, Elizabeth Jordan's asked in the chat, how important is a run-through prior to the DCM? So perhaps for the alignment chair, the district director, the core parts of the management of the meeting, would you recommend a run-through or at least a debrief or a briefing?
Oh, yeah, sure. That's all part of the A team that I mentioned earlier on. And you got to meet at least 2 weeks before the meeting itself, or maybe a week before, and then bring the relevant parties along to that run through meeting.
That's
and
wonderful.
put people through the I'll throw out some questions as parliamentarian. I'll say, right, what are you going to what's the reply to this question? And so it's very, very important to have a run through. If you don't do that, you're in trouble. You're in trouble on the day.
That's it.
Because sometimes you could be throwing a question, David, and you might say, God, I never thought of that. So then it comes up on the day and you're ready to answer.
That's it. That's wonderful. So Larry, you have made parliamentary procedure feel genuinely important. And we thank you for your time tonight in sharing your wisdom and being here with us. And I'm sure those who might want to go deeper will attend that training and perhaps interact with you at some point. So Larry, thank you for joining us tonight on Region 10 Live News.
Okay, thanks very much. And great having me here. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much again.
Again, such a great interview, David. So impressed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the moment. Region 10, did you keep your count locked during that interview? Hands off those keyboards. Wait for the Reggie signal.
Reggie.
It is game over. You can type the number of buttons now.
Wonderful. And remember, our team is not scanning yet. So we are giving our full Region 10 family, those on YouTube and on LinkedIn, their fair 30 seconds.
Yeah, let's see the chat if it's going to be crazy in YouTube and LinkedIn. And let's have some time. And while we are waiting, David, how was your Easter?
My Easter. Thank you for asking. It's always a nice celebration here in Vienna. We get a public holiday, which is wonderful. And of course, we have this weekend the Orthodox Easter. So for those celebrating particularly on a different calendar, that's wonderful. We also had, as maybe you celebrated, a different festivity of Bayram a few weeks ago at the end of Ramadan as well, Serjan. So this period of time, this sort of dawning of spring, you might say, is really a wonderful time for many cultures to celebrate. So I did indeed enjoy a fair few chocolate eggs, you might say, which is more of a secular tradition to stick to that. But how about you, Serjan? How's this period been for you?
Actually, although we don't celebrate Easter, but I love these eggs, chocolate, and I love to eat them. I really. But as you mentioned, we have a celebration like months since the Ramadan holiday and then Easter. We are celebrating good things. I think it's nice.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, let's see the chat again.
Let's see the chat. Maybe people weren't paying attention. Maybe I personally didn't see any buttons because I was busy talking to Larry there. So I assume those buttons have come in, but maybe the answers have not either. Maybe everyone is just overawed with Reggie and he'll have to find his own buttons, perhaps. Let's see. We'll wait for our tech team to find there a few things. But thanks for joining us. I see here Angela Fuentes from District 107, parliamentarian there from Spain. Welcome to you. And Melton from District 109. Yes, always good to have a creative and inspiring session. So our guests tonight, of course, and then some comments there from Olga as well about the use of the gavel. I love it. I don't know about you, but when I was president of Toastmasters, bang, bang, at the start of the meeting, bang, bang at the end. I'd love to sort of, do that. Being a judge, being someone who, was able to enjoy that. So I'm not get carried away, but certainly enjoy that moment. So let's see. But I know we've got another expert lined up, Serjan. Maybe we continue while we wait for the tech team.
Yeah, it's a good idea, David. Yes, our final expert tonight has stood on the World Championship stage with a message beyond any trophy.
That's it. And this one is a personal one. So I actually had the privilege of sitting down with him myself.
Oh, really? Alan Ang, the 2025 World Championship of Public Speaking second runner-up, and holds a seat at the $1 Million Roundtable. And as a stabilizer who once feared change, he uses NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, to turn stuck energy into blueprints for action. Let's see the video.
Hi everyone, this is Alan, and I'm a corporate trainer for the last 10 years. One of the things that we have been working very closely with companies and even teams are that we try to improve or help them to work their way up in terms of leadership skill. People will come to me and ask, Alan, what do you think leadership truly entails? And how would you define true leadership? While there are a lot of answers, personally, I believe that leadership equals to clarity, which means when we are leading our team, they should feel secure, they should know exactly where they're heading to, and they should be able to provide value towards the whole organization. And the word value itself has been used countless of times, or even more often right now, that we wanted to measure a contributions from each member of the team. But what exactly is value? Today, I would like to share with you a very straightforward, simple, succinct framework that allows everyone to see how they can add value to the organization. First of all, I want you to imagine or think about a challenge that you're facing right now, or a problem. So there will be a problem. Let's say my problem right now is I could not get enough customer coming into my business. That's the problem. Then from the problem itself, we will look into what is the ideal situations that you want to be in, which is the results that you wanted to see, the outcome. So I would like to have 20 new customers in the next 3 weeks, right? That's where you wanted to go. Then on this side, it would be what's the current situation. Right now, we're only able to draw 3 customers in. So what's the gap? The gap is 17. And what the gap entails is not just only numbers of 17. It could even mean we have a lacking in terms of our marketing effort right now. Or it could be we don't have a compelling content on social media right now. Whichever that we identify as the gap requires a lot of critical thinking. But once we're able to get that answer in terms of the gap description, we ask ourselves 2 more questions, which is, if I were to stay at my current situations right now, how much more pain would I be able to inflict on my own team? Which means I need to figure out how can I get out of this situation. And on the other side, I need to justify, like, why is it important for me to get to the ideal situation? So the problem, the current situations, the ideal situations, the gap, the current situations, if we stay in it, what kind of pain will we be suffering? The ideal situations, if we are able to get towards it, what kind of pleasure will we be getting? So from here, once we are able to clearly identify the gap, what we can do is ask ourselves the 3 next things. What result do I really want to get, right? Which is from the gap. Number 2, why this matters to us. So for instance, I identify that we have a lacking in terms of compiling content. So the result is I want to have a content that is being shared by our viewer organically. Why is it important? Because it helps us to increase attention without incurring more costs. Then what is the action plan that I'm going to take? The action plan could be, number 1, sit down and brainstorm with my team. Number 2, draw out a social media plan. Number 3, engage with multiple parties. And number 4, 5, so on and so forth. So from that action list, we will put a timeline to it. And how we actually try to push for people to give more value is by increasing the rhythm. Instead of focusing on 1 year equals to 12 months, we focus on 1 year equals to 12 weeks. So planning as if we have 1 year, but taking action as if we only have 12 weeks. So from there, once we're able to fulfill all this action, we would have a solution that helps us to solve the problem that we initially identified. And when we're able to do so, that is when value is created. When value is what we define as a problem identified while being solved. If we're only able to identify the problem but not solving it, it's not a value in the whole. But if we're able to give a solution and it does not actually help us to solve that particular problem, then we are just not being productive or effective with our resources. So where does the leadership play a role here? It's helping everyone to see exactly where they are and at which stage are they at. That's the clarity. And I hope this straightforward, simple framework will help everyone to find ways to look at leadership differently, on how leadership can actually help us to look at clarities, helping us to identify a problem, and creating more value for the team. That is a short 5-minute segment on what leadership means from our point of view. I hope that helps.
Wow. Thank you so much, Alan Ang, for this really, truly insightful moment through this process and plan. I've been scribbling lots of notes as we speak, and I have a couple of questions that I wanted to ask you. So you've got amazing experience with lots of different teams, which is great. You mentioned your work is in the corporate sector. As a Toastmaster, what do you recognize that's similar in terms of the volunteer teams, you know, club teams and things? Where is the gap, is my question for you, in Toastmasters teams?
Where is the gap in Toastmasters team? I think Toastmasters is very unique because most of the work that we've done are voluntary basis. Unlike in corporate, where you could say that if you were to do this, I can incentivize you, or I could reward you. But in Toastmasters, it's more about how could I spark that desire from everyone to contribute wholeheartedly. In that case, it requires more influence. It requires a little bit more tactful with the words that we use, more constructive feedback, so on and so forth. So if we look at our team right now in Toastmasters, if our team are moving, then it means that we're giving them that sense of security and giving them that value that they wanted to contribute towards it. But if not, then we have to look at ourselves and say, how can I make them feel safe? How can I make them feel like they wanted to contribute towards a bigger cause, which could mean the DCP for the club, which could mean how the district is going to be performing, or even how could I encourage this member to join a speech contest?
Absolutely. Wow, that's great, because I think many clubs, you know, find that they have these gaps, and so your process, if they watch the video again, will absolutely give them that way forward. In your experience, just how long, I know each team is individual, but you know, in your professional experience, how long does this kind of process take, and where are the moments that people ought to be aware of that take the longest?
Initially, people would tell us that, oh, you could have more the time that you wanted, and we would say, give me 6 months, give me 1 year to plan for it, only for us to realize we cannot give that much time. Because like Parkinson's law, right? The work itself would expand to the time being given to it. And I read this somewhere in a book that resonates with what our process is right now. Be very impatient with action, but be patient with the result. So while we wanted to wait for the actual results to show, we cannot slow down in taking action. We got to be a little bit more proactive, more aggressive, going out and get what we want. So instead of looking at one big action plan for 6 months, chunk it down. What is the next action that I can take tomorrow, next week, the week after that? And when this adds up, the effort will compound and it will give us the result that we want.
That's amazing. Wow. One final question. Thank you again. I'm researching soft skills myself, and leadership's a soft skill. You mentioned critical thinking. You mentioned value. You mentioned, elements of empathy, or helping people to feel secure and safe, psychological safety. Are there any other key soft skills or things that, you know, I as an emerging leader might need to think about in terms of your framework?
Yeah, there is, which is the most crucial and not so much talk about, conflict management. I think as we try to lead a team, we would have different opinions coming in. And the first instinct that we identify conflict or we see conflict is we wanted to avoid it or we try to give in. But the more productive way is to look at conflict as an opportunity to gain feedback on how we could progress forward. So if we can turn every disagreement into a productive outcome, I think that conflict management skill will be that one crucial skill that helps us to elevate our team performance moving forward.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much again, Alan Ang, for your time. And if people want to catch up with you and connect via LinkedIn, I think we saw your consultancy there at the beginning. So thank you again so much.
Thank you, David.
There you have it. Yes. And bad news, everyone. Reggie is upset. No one, unfortunately, has been able to secure the right number of his buttons. So we'll make sure he gets plenty of bamboo coffee, and we'll catch up with him next week. Maybe he'll find his buttons in his back pocket. So Reggie, we miss you, but all the best.
Yeah, I hope next episode we can find the right buttons. Yeah, and on April 16th, Region 10 Live News returns for episode 15. And this is no regular episode.
That's it. We are making a massive milestone for Toastmasters International, and we're honored to host two past international presidents, Lark Doley and John Greiner, who will be joining us live.
Oh, they are revealing the brand new 2026 Club Officer Training. This is a historic moment. The Club Officer Training wasn't built behind closed doors. It was built by members and for members, mentored by 8 past international presidents. Amazing.
Yes. It's amazing, honestly. And our very own founder, Paula Perina, the lead of this project, will interview to reveal how this experiment is sparking a new era of training that looks into the future. So I guess we'll see you all for April 26th, our next big episode. So thanks for joining us tonight. Good night.
Good night.